Ohio State looks the best right now. Ohio State looks the best right now. So, and that their passing game is on another level. They've really stepped it up in these playoffs. They've been able to move the ball down the field with ease, it seems like. Their defense is playing pretty solid. This is going to be the game where I feel like it's going to be more one-sided, and I think it's going to be more in the favor of Ohio State. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beard Zone Sports Talk. My name is David. I got Scooter with me tonight. How are you doing, Scooter? We're in college football playoffs, sir.
It's a great time, man.
Dude,
Seriously, a great time.
And we are down to the semifinals of the college football. There are only 4 teams left. 4 teams that dreamt about this moment at the beginning of the season, and 4 team dreams are still alive. But only 2 will remain and go on to the national championship. Who will it be? We will talk all about it. But before we get into it all, do us a favor. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, because that's the best way to support us. We really appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting recently on some of these videos. So keep it up. We appreciate that. But Scooter, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. All year, I'm so upset that Carlos is not here either. Carlos, hope you feel, man. Hope you feel better. But all year long, I heard about how Penn State and how Notre Dame do not deserve to be in the playoffs. They're not contenders. They're not legit. They'll choke. This is what they're going to do. And on and on and on it went. And now, sir, one of these teams, because they are facing each other this weekend, one of these teams are going to be going on to the national championship and potentially win the national championship. I'm sorry, but this is beautiful how this has played out this season. But let's talk about it. Notre Dame, Penn State, 2 heavyweights when it comes down to their defensive game. Penn State's rushing game has definitely carried them, no pun intended, all the way to where they are now. Notre Dame's defense they're tough. They're tough. So they're very well coached. They're very tough, and should be an interesting matchup. Very old school. I sense an old school battle heel, but I want to hear what your thoughts about it on your 2 favorite teams this year, my friend.
I could potentially just have the worst national championship game 2 times in a row if this plays out the way I really don't want it to. Penn State and Notre Dame, and I'll take the humble pill here, have absolutely proven me wrong, at least so far. James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions have done a spectacular job on the defensive side of the ball and just getting after guys, creating pressure. And I think we've talked about this before with the Oregon and Ohio State game. When you make things incredibly uncomfortable and make the offense more one-dimensional, you win games. And that's what Notre Dame and Penn State have done. Notre Dame, I think, has the better secondary. I think Penn State has the better front 7 on defense. And like you said, I think it's more of a defensive game at the end of the day. You have Leonard and Love for Notre Dame that are more run happy. Leonard shows some pretty good short pass accuracy in the red zone again. But I think Penn State looks better overall when you take their passing and run game into account. Aller's going to have to be way more accurate. The stray throws, the quick screen passes are going to be very good. They're going to be very careful again with Notre Dame's defensive backs. And again, I will swallow the humble pill on Notre Dame and Penn State. However, thank God for this game, because one of them is going to have to choke. Hopefully it's Notre Dame. I'm feeling Penn State more on this one.
Gosh, man, I don't know. I want Notre Dame to win. I'll just come out and say it. I want Notre Dame to win. I do. I like this team. They're more of an old school type of team. I like their coach. I just like them. They've always been that, and I like the under. I don't know if they're underdogs in this one. That's something that we would have to look up. I haven't checked the spread, but I don't know, man. I like Notre Dame and I want them to win. I'm just worried about the rushing game of Penn State because as good as their defense has been, they're kind of weak in the rushing game defense. I mean, they've allowed about 127 yards a game. Yeah, I mean that's Penn State can expose you there, and I mean Penn State relies heavy on that run game. So I feel like that if Penn State can take control of this game early, it's going to be hard for Notre Dame to finish it out.
Oh,
So yeah,
absolutely, especially with Penn State's two running back system at like 7.5 to 8 yards a carry. Come on, man. It's if Notre Dame can't stop Penn State's run game, sayonara.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's really what it's really going to come down to, and that's going to be what I'm going to be watching, this Thursday because if they can't, and then, like I said, if they could, because if you have that, and that's what Penn State has done. They've established the run, they've established it early, and then they've just milked it the entire game. And they've been able to control the clock. They've been able to control the tempo. They've given their defense a rest. They wear out their opposing team's defense, and they just, that's their game plan. That's their system. But if Notre Dame can turn around and up their rushing defense this game, it's going to be a pretty good matchup. I mean, I think it's still going to be a close game, but final prediction: I'm going to go Penn State. I'm going to
Same.
say Penn. Yeah, so I do, man. I want Notre Dame to win, but I'm going to go Penn State here with my prediction. But let's go to the next game, which Ohio State versus the Texas Longhorns. Texas, first year in the SEC, they've had a little bit of kind of an up and down season. Really. Same for Ohio State. I mean, just what was it? 4 5 weeks ago, they lost to Michigan in Ohio State, and we all thought, their head coach was out the door, but they kept them. They stayed the course, and now they're a game away from the national championship game. And let's be honest, man, out of the four teams, Ohio State looks the best right now. Ohio State looks the best right now. So, and that their passing game is on another level. They've really stepped it up in these playoffs. They've been able to move the ball down the field with ease, it seems like. Their defense is playing pretty solid. This is going to be the game where I feel like it's going to be more one-sided, and I think it's going to be more in the favor of Ohio State.
Yeah, we could potentially see an Ohio State Notre Dame championship game, and I think I'll probably just throw up when we record next time if that happens. That's just how it's going to happen.
You just said Penn State, though.
Yeah, I know. I prefer Penn State, but there's a likelihood of the Notre Dame Ohio State championship game. God, that would suck. Will Howard in their offense, vertically speaking, looks very good. Jeremiah Smith has got to be the next coming of the whole Marvin Harrison Jr.isms and all of that. And if anyone looks back at the past like 7 or so years, Ohio State pass game has been insane. And it really overshadows their run game because if you look at Judkins and Henderson, they, again, have like a 7.5 yard average run. And I think it was Henderson that outruns Judkins at least by like, on average, he has like 2 more 20-yard runs per game, and it's insane. Defensively, I think it edges more towards Texas. Texas looks more holistic, more like a better version of Penn State. Ohio State's the hot team right now. I would like to see Penn State's secondary in their defense and how they compare to Ohio State's wide receiver core. and everyone talks about LSU being wide receiver U. Has anyone paid attention to Ohio State and how many wide receivers they've put in the NFL and all that? Will Howard, again, is a pass-first guy, not run. And when they try to do that against Michigan, they floundered, right? They flopped. They did not do that in the playoff. They went straight, okay, fine. We're going to give you a passing game. We're going to put up 300 yards or whatever and 4 touchdowns and completely embarrass you. I think Jeremiah Smith was like triple covered and still caught an insane pass on the sideline.
Jeremiah Smith is a man amongst boys out there. He
Absolutely.
Really
and Will Howard's putting it right there in his hands, right on a dime. I would like to see the response from Texas because Sarkisian is an offensive guy. Ewers, Manning, it doesn't matter who's on the field, they can score. Manning is more of the run guy now that Ewers is still probably nursing that lower injury. Ewers still shows, they say he's in the top 3 for best quarterbacks to go to the draft. I seriously think Jackson Dart is way better. But Ewers, he tends to overthrow, and I think he's gotten away with it with the defenses he's played so far. And you cannot do that against Ohio State. Ohio State's defense, if anyone paid attention during the playoffs so far, I think their defense has 10 out of 11 starters playing on the defensive side of the ball, and they're mostly juniors and seniors. They're not guys that have barely seen the football field, man. They've seen the football field at least 2 years.
Yeah.
That's why they've been dominant. They said, Oregon, you can shut up and we're going to own you. Because everyone thought Oregon's going to run away with this, blah, 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 blah. We didn't see that.
No.
We got a great game with the ASU-Texas game. Texas.
So close.
Oh, yes. Very good game. Best game of the playoffs so far. If Texas can just eliminate the second half mistakes on defense and keep their offense consistent, they should be okay against Ohio State. Unless Ohio State comes out and scores, 38 points in the first half again? Then we might not have the same conversation. If I had to, man, I really don't want to pick, but I have to, right? Texas, just because I don't want to see Ohio State.
I'm going Ohio State, man.
Again, bias, 100% bias here against Ohio State. Take that with a grain of salt. I know the comment section is going to rip me a new one. I don't care. I don't like Ohio State. Texas, to me, hot team, Ohio State, but I prefer Texas in this one. I would love a Texas-Penn State national championship game.
I mean, well, okay, real quick before we move forward to the national championship game and saying our final predictions here. I'm going to take Ohio State. I think it's going to be a one-sided game. I really do. I love what Texas has been able to do. I love what they were able to show. I mean, to get into the Final Four teams, first year in the SEC, I mean, they look good, right? Like, they didn't look like they – I mean, there were a couple of games maybe that it looked like they didn't belong, but for the most part, they held their own. And I like what they're doing there. I like the team, but I just think that Ohio State is going to be the team to beat. It's just that. And nothing against ASU, but if you would have put Ohio State against ASU, it wouldn't have been that close. It would not have been a nail biter. It wouldn't have gone into overtime. And so I'm going to go Ohio State with this. I'm going to take them by, gosh, man, I don't know what the spread is. We should probably look that up before we start.
2 scores? Are you really going to do a 2-scorer?
Yeah, I'm going to take Ohio State by 10. So give me Ohio State by 10. I think it'll be a two-score game. So that's going to be my prediction. So I got Ohio State, Penn State in the national championship. You have Texas, Penn State in the national championship.
Just because I don't want to see 2 Big Ten teams, man. I don't want to see like a what should have been the Big Ten championship cry harder. But, I mean, you may be right with Ohio State. They are the team. Like, if you took the tapes, right, of the past 2 games, right now, Ohio State, Penn State, or Notre Dame is probably feasible. I prefer, again, Texas and Penn State. I know it's kind of a long shot given probably the odds. I know Ohio State is favored over Texas.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting. But at the end of the day, I don't think either way you flip it, of all the scenarios, right? Texas, Notre Dame, Texas, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Penn State. I don't think we are going to have a bad national championship game. I think that the playoffs, as much as grievances that there were about the rankings and the final standings and everything, I think maybe we got it right, man. I think I honestly do. I think that we have a very good shot at getting a really good classic national championship game amongst any of these teams. So I'm excited for it and I'm ready for it.
And I know you're ready for it because when we were talking offline, you had a very interesting statistic, offense versus defense, and I believe we're looking at 4 of the top 5 teams in red zone defense, if I'm not correct.
That is correct. Yeah,
and the top one being Army.
The top one, right? Probably because they just allow too many big plays. But so the top 5 defenses in the red zone outside of Army are the last 4 teams: Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame. If you flip it to the offensive side of the ball, they're nowhere to be found in the top. So it's like, I think Penn State and Ohio State might be up there somewhere kind of in the middle, like in the 20 or 30th ranking from the stats that I just looked up from the college football website here. But I was like, that's an interesting stat. So it's almost like, you know what, just don't score. Don't go into the red zone. That's gonna be the game plan for
just
these,
do 40-yard plays. Whatever.
Yeah, anything in the playbook that is,
we're at the 50. Hail Mary, do it now.
Yeah, beyond 30. Beyond the 30-yard line, let's just go ahead and get into the playbook, because when we get into the red zone, the statistics aren't going to be for us. So I thought that was a pretty interesting stat. But overall, I think the last 4 teams should be the last 4 teams. I know there's a lot of people out there that say that it should have went another way, or if said team had a chance to even get in the dance, they would have been here. It is what it is. I'm happy with the last 4 teams. And I think that we're in for, a good college football weekend and a really good national championship on whoever, the last 2 teams are that are standing. But let us know down there in the comments who you guys think are going to make it to the national championship. Go ahead and put your predictions down for the winner of it all if you're feeling a little bit bold. But do us a favor. Follow us on all of our social medias. We are on Facebook. We're on X. We are on Instagram. So all the links are in our bio here on our YouTube page. So go ahead and follow us there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because that's the best way to continue to support us. We are going to be here every Thursday talking college football with you, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So be sure to turn on that notification bell. Share this video with your family and friends. And until next Thursday,
Beard Zone